everything around me. Green, get the money, dollar bill, yo.
And we are going to talk today about stuff that we have in patch 5.7. And hopefully we'll talk about some of the things that you guys are concerned on in 5.6. I saw Zybeck talking about the lack of, or the combo problem that's currently going on. And we have top men working on that specific problem. In fact, that one required a whole bunch of rework the way the client interprets combos. So the combos should feel faster on the client as a result of what we're doing right now. And they should be verified. So you should never skip a combo again unless you actually miss the combo. Okay, patch note 1. Ready?
Let's do it.
Let's do it. Stoneborn male is now playable.
Woo! Woo! Yeah.
Yes, I was playing a Stoneborn knight yesterday. And combined with patch note 2, the half-giant female is now playable, which concludes all of the races that we have promised, which is, yay. We can clap for the artists and the animators that all of the races in 5.7 will be online and operational.
Fully playable.
This fully armed battle station. Yes. And as I heard, the last of the armors that are missing are also coming in. So either as part of 5.7, I don't know if the ones that just came in yesterday will make the 5.7 cutoff. They might or might not, but that means that all of the armors will be available as well, which is great. Because the greatness there is it means the artists can move into polishing mode rather than building mode on those things. Harvestable hunger crystals are now in campaigns. These hunger crystals cause other harvestable spawners nearby to become unharvestable and will add some snow and frozen effects to the affected area. You must harvest and destroy these hunger crystals to unfreeze any nearby harvestable nodes. So we showed this last time. The new art came online 2 days ago. So they're polishing that up. They look completely different. And the ground snow is appearing as well, and that's pretty cool too. And they're polishing that as well.
Not an insignificant change.
Yes, that is in fact not. You can read the next one because that's what you've been primarily working on.
Yes, the following new mobs have been added to the campaigns: Wolf, Elk, and Hellcat. And specifically, we mean the summer Hellcat, which actually looks like a cat.
And there are multiple colors of him?
I guess that is planned. I have not seen them yet.
You just only have the one color?
Yeah, we still only have the one color. But there are different varieties.
Great. So, the Hellcat, who is our oldest, the Night Hellcat is our oldest mob, and now he has his daytime form to fit in with everything transforming as the sun comes up, and as the sun goes down, we now have new mobs to fight. And the wolves are really cool. I don't know that we've shown the wolves...
Probably not.
The spirit wolf power.
Yeah. Oh, right.
So the wolves have a power that's like Banshee, the Banshees, that Banshee Army, or Ghost Army. And except theirs is ghostly, not ghostly purple, but ghostly yellow at the or orange at the moment. And I think you were running through the forest, and literally like 10 wolves all just let off their armies at the same time, and it was
delightful.
It was awesome because it was the middle of the night, so it was dark, and they look really cool at nighttime.
Completely black except for the ghostly spectral forms of 1,000 wolves.
That would have killed you had you not been invulnerable. Yeah, running around the forest in the middle of the night by yourself is a little risky.
It's kind of dangerous.
Yes. Ooh, yes, the female half giant is very big. She is big. Okay, go ahead.
Sure. Day and night functionality have been reintroduced into campaign worlds, including a season clock being visible within the UI. So you can see that at the bottom right hand corner, I believe. The first round of zoning has been implemented. This isn't player facing, but we're going to read a patch note for it anyway, and will allow for expanding of future campaign worlds and the ability to use zoning. So it's just some stuff under the hood.
So as part of the new campaign map they're getting, Bereavement, it should be made up of at least 4 zones.
Okay, so it is player facing. All right.
So the beachhead should be in different zones than the actual playable map. I think that was the first step. That map got generated yesterday, so I have yet to see it. It's always the stages of stuff going from somebody's desktop to checked into the repo to us actually seeing it. Our combat logs forecasted in an upcoming patch. They are definitely on the horizon, but no one's actively working on it. What is the status of attacking buildings with gathering tools rather than combat powers? It's still on my whiteboard. I think it's like 4th or 5th thing down. It's just that's a bigger thing. When will the skill trees fix so somebody can train both Cleric and Druid? Not in 5.7. We're pretty much wrapping up all of the features in 5.7. How do zones function? Can you elaborate? Yeah, each of the zones is its own physics process and map, and there is a rune gate to take you from the current zone that you're in to a location, a random location at the landing spot on the other side of the Stargate, basically. They look like Stargates. But more importantly, they open up the world into bigger islands, they segregate people into smaller bunches, and the beachheads are now nowhere near the rest of the activity. So we can have all the influx of newer players landing there, and they do all their newer player stuff, and then they promote into the other zones, essentially. Will they be on separate servers so performance increases and splits player load? Correct, yes. They each have their own dedicated physics process, and they are essentially different servers. Can you confirm wipe of items and or skills for 5.7? I don't know that we need to.
Think we are for that.
Yeah, I actually don't think we need to for 5.7 because we really didn't do any work in the skill trees, and there really wasn't a substantial change in anything in the items.
Yeah, I think we should be good.
Yep.
At least for 5.7.
Do you have a game asset for the Moon Gate? We don't have an asset yet for the Rune Gates that I've seen. Any further discussion on the issue of party size? Yeah, we're going to get that bug fixed and put it back to 5. Could there be a campaign world knob rather than a... No, I mean, a lot of the reason we do 5 is because that's how our powers work, and we want you to kind of carry that many healers and that many support roles and yada, yada, yada. The bigger you make the group, the less of those you need, and you can get to a point like games that allow really large group size. You only need 1, maybe 2 healers.
Yeah. I mean, you wind up stacking certain things at the expense of others, right?
Right.
And so we want to try to 5 is a good balance, right? You need to have a healer, you need to have so many DPS, maybe mix a tank in there, right? But kind of what Blair was alluding to, if we let you, the nature of group heals being as they are, if we let 10 people be in a group, for example, maybe you can cover that with 1 healer, and so you just need half the healers, right?
It also means that you the discipline choices are a little bit more challenging to figure out what your group composition is, rather than just, hey, you're the one dude and you just get all of the support stuff, right?
So, I mean, realistically, being a competitive kind of game, you are going to quite logically make the most efficient, best choices you can, and sometimes that means, hey, can we, more offense, less defense, whatever, right? But we want that to make an to be a choice that actually matters. So,
yep. So, again, and that's why we went with 5, and that's why all our powers cap at 5, right? And then with the bigger size, that means you have to increase the cap on your powers because you don't want to get in that weird situation where which guys does it pick,
exactly.
right? Then it just creates those weird issues, which is what it's currently doing, which, again, bug will get fixed. Yeah. Is mass production planned to join us in 5.7, 5.8? No. Okay, we're going to read some more notes.
Yes.
Okay.
So where are we at? Changes to the functionality of F to interact have been added.
Correct.
Nebulous.
So what that is you can now, if you're out of combat, go up to another friendly player and F to interact on them, and you'll get a series of menus. Like trade. Wow. That's a pretty cool one. You'll be able to invite them to your group via doing that. And the other one that's going online is Whisper. So you'll have those 3 options just by interacting on somebody. And you don't have to go into cursor mode to do it, because F to interact, as you know, is in the
Right.
Open world.
Cursor. Yeah. Under general powers, fix the hitch that would occur when trying to switch to stealth tray while airborne, which is an interesting thing to try to do.
Actually, no, you disable. Didn't I disable that?
You
last
might
patch?
have, because I remember you asking, "Hey, should you be able to do this?" And I'm like, "That sounds like probably something, maybe not."
Yeah, I'm pretty sure I disabled that last in 5.6.
So we should probably either strike that note or be like, "Hey, you know, if we ever let you do this, it won't hitch."
No, I think I think that the hitch was being caused because it was the server was rejecting it.
Okay, yeah, I guess that would cause a hitch.
Zybek, I watched his most recent video, and he is a lumberjacking fool. Zybek is a skinning fool now. Probably because he's just dropping fields and pulling everything into the fields. And yes, an AoE. Perception needs to be looked at. Ask Destrin. You know, I hear it both ways on perception. I hear that it's too good, and I hear that it doesn't work, which generally means that something's working pretty.
Well, maybe.
And Zybek says something about the perception tiers. Okay, so I'm clearly not aware of what's going on in the community on this one. I'd love to be informed, but I've heard it both ways. Perception is too good, and I've heard that it doesn't work. Dragging or resizing elements. I know the UI group is not working on that right now. They're trying to make the UI more efficient and optimize to get us even more frame rate. Stacking perception is pretty crazy right now. Destrin said he could see stealthers at 50 plus meters. Is there too much plus stealth and not enough anti-stealth? Even though I think there is.
There should be a pretty good balance between the two.
Right.
Like by design though. So just to kind of step back here a little bit, the initial, like one of the ranger, for example,
flare.
Promotion classes that we talked about was supposed to be particularly good at seeing and finding things. So you can, and it is by design that you can stack perception and basically be the guy who spots the stealther. That's a role we let you take. Now, maybe it's too easy, or maybe there's too much. That's possible. I'd be happy to take a look at it if there's anything specific about that you want to share. We'd be happy to hear it. But we do want you to be able to be the stealth finding guy for your group, because it's an important role, right? I mean, stealthers are very dangerous, right? Because you can't see them, and having the guy whose job it is to see the stealther and then flare him or do something to pop him out of stealth is an important part of your your unit, so to speak. So.
Yeah. So.
But if everybody can do it without having to sacrifice something, then that's a problem. That's basically we want it to be balanced. So.
Right, and it's funny is you see a lot of people saying it, even in the chat here, that stealth there's too much plus stealth, and someone here says it doesn't seem like it's working right? So that's what kind of confuses us. So it does sound like it's working right. It just sounds like it's easier to get plus stealth than it is to get the anti-stealth stat, or the anti-stealthers, as they are wont to do, because people do this, rather than going for a utility stat like anti-stealth, they're just going all balls to the wall essentially for damage. Just damage bonus or anti-stealth, and they might find that they're better served in going for more anti-stealth stats than damage stats. Otherwise, your anti-stealth, dead DPS does 0 DPS, right? So any of you that have played these games for all, you know that a dead DPS is pretty much worthless. So I'd love to see people can you make an anti-stealth build? And I think you can. I think there's jewelry. If I remember correctly, it might be on the necklace. And I'm pretty sure there's some on one of the armor builds.
There's not enough plus stealth to counteract the plus perception. Okay.
Yeah. Leather armor can be built for... I thought leather could be built for plus stealth. But if you're going for the stats, which you'd want to go, let's go plate, because I get the most defense out of that. If I want the most defense and I want the most damage, they're going to come at a cost. Why does Gibson have a picture on his monitor that makes him look like a serial killer? Here we're coming to the fun ones.
Yes.
Water's about to get choppy, guys.
All right.
Hold on to your seatbelts.
Hold on your butts. So, Myrmidon.
Myrmidon, our friend the Myrmidon. Let's talk about the Myrmidon.
Everyone loves Berserk should no longer accumulate damage. That's not really happening while you're invulnerable.
Yes.
So that was cool. That was a cool thing you could actually do with the Myrmidon, because you would get credit for, even though you were invulnerable, you would get credit for the healing. So if you could make yourself, for example, just use your ultimate power, and you're taking a bunch of damage, and you become invulnerable, you would heal even though you're not taking damage, right? Because Berserk, if you don't know how Berserk works, basically, it heals you as you take damage, right? So you take a little damage, you heal a little damage, and whatever, and it's only supposed to happen if you actually take damage. So that got fixed.
Or if you were invulnerable at the moment the big hit came, that converted into a heal or some craziness. There was some timing there that screwed. So that no longer happens either. Part B to that, which isn't in our notes here, is we remove the ability for the cooldown on Berserk to be affected by cooldown reduction stats.
Right.
So that thing has a flat 75% uptime now. You can no longer go Berserk forever, because that's clearly not what we intended for invulnerable players running around, no matter how many weird stats you acquired. So that one is, we're going to start seeing that more, where we're like, hey, we don't like infinite anything.
Yeah.
That's
right. Just a rule, just as a rule.
So you will get your one Berserk, and then you'll have to wait your cooldown time before you activate another, which also means you have to play the mini game of avoiding the crash, which clears up a lot of this. But as another victim of this, let's talk about Punch Drunk.
Oh, yes.
Yes, you kind of skipped over.
Did I skip over it?
Yeah.
Oh, there's a discipline. Oh, right.
Yes.
Sure, okay. Yeah. All right, so... Yeah, right. So long live the fighter and poisoner should again correctly proc in a third basic attack.
Yeah, I don't know if you guys have been making basic attack builds, but there was something broken in that. Well,
it was the combo stuff, right? Like if you can't get if you never get to the third hit, the third hit stuff's not going to do you much.
No, there was a second part to this, was that they changed the way you couldn't chain an area off of a proc. So these guys, I had to put a self in there to get your location.
All right,
because it was procking back where you equip the thing. Remember that?
Okay.
Okay. Yes.
Weird. Yeah.
Yeah. So basically, all of the third click attack procs were broken, and they are fixed now. And somebody said, "Not like this."
Not like this.
That's from Matrix when he's about to pull the plug on Switch. And we remove the minor discipline Punch Drunk. We don't have the tech to do what we want with that. We're going to have to wait until we have cooldown groups so that Mark and I can say resets the cooldown on all your combat abilities, or resets the cooldown on all your healing abilities, or resets the cooldown on all whatever.
Yeah. Right now we basically just have a big hammer.
Yeah, we have one that says all cooldowns or one specific cooldown. We don't have anything in between. So we've got a request in. Once we have that, we'll bring it back. But right now
we have the hammer and we have tweezers.
Basically,
we don't have like a decent sized scoop.
Yep, Zybeck. We're getting to these things, and in some cases, rather than have that kind of that dangly bit there, we're just going to cut it off until we can bring it back. The data's still there.
We're just wrapping it up for a while.
Yep.
Until it's healed.
F to pay respect for. Okay.
Added the new gear for gold vendor in the beachheads, which can also be accessed online. Equipment items such as basic weapons, intermediate gear, and bandages can now be purchased from this vendor for gold. So I think we just wanted to put some kind of cost in there. Removed the hunger shard drops from day creatures. So we're getting hunger shards now. Where are they coming from?
Oh, the hunger shards are coming from the new hunger shards.
That's right.
The ones that spawn in the world at nighttime. And they stay there until they are destroyed. They used to be on creatures because that's what we had at the time. And now we're going to put them in their proper spot.
So there you go. That's where you get them.
Lighting, terrain, and environment adjustments. Fixed a thunking bug for grass, but more importantly, rewrote the whole thing to be multi-threaded and carefully staged so generation and thunking have no impact on main thread CPU.
Boom.
Boom. Boom. Get that off the main thread. Get it out of there. You get on your own thread. Now normalizing the values across all splat textures and verified that the indexing is properly done. That is a huge optimization piece for, because you just look at grass and you're like, I don't realize how expensive that grass is.
That grass costs you.
Improve the look of grass to make wind use pivot. Use normal sample so it blends better, and stop the ugly pop-up scaling, which I honestly had never really noticed.
Yeah, well, it depends on your graphic settings and.
Yeah, I usually don't play on the highest graphic settings. Updated webbings with newer assets. Various tweaks to get shadows and directional lighting to work the way we want it with our particular sky prefab, so we can tweak the settings. Several adjustments to parcels, such as the farm and the hamlet, have been done to update them to the newest shader and lighting. We had a whole new lighting shader go in this update, so Art has been tweaking that busily. Hopefully for you guys, you'll just notice that everything just
looks great.
Just looks better, and the grass is substantially cheaper. Also, so we don't have it in here, and we can probably talk about this for the next seconds. Is we just added a way to increase stat caps. So it broke a couple of Mark's spreadsheets, and he was very angry about it.
I wasn't angry.
He was grouchy about it.
Super happy.
He was super grouchy about it. But more importantly, it means that now we can give you guys stats that increase the caps to any stat that we decide needs a stat increase. So one of the things you're going to start seeing on the racial disciplines is Elves may just get a plus 75 increase to their dexterity cap, meaning that they can have a higher dex than other people. Because it's cooler that you start with a base that's a little higher, but that base is going to get overcome with gear. As we all know, the fact that they can go 75 higher on their dex means that Elves are better at dexy things like crit and weak spots on harvesting. So expect to start seeing stat cap increases on various pieces of
everything.
Because it's just, they're more stats for us, and in the long term, they're a little more interesting in many ways than stats, because the pure stats, we can assume that everyone's gonna cap, right? It's where you can go over the cap. So I think we have prototyped some stuff like, for everyone else, armor caps at, I don't know, 50%, but the knight, his goes up to 65%. So we can actually make some of these classes start feeling like they are, in fact, more tankier because they can go higher in their caps. Will Stoneborn armor be added with the race, or can we expect another naked race? The Stoneborn, I put on his armor yesterday, and it showed. So it was just the order that we got in those models. Their armor wasn't done. And we didn't want to hold the models for the armor coming in, because we just want to throw it out there and get as many bugs as possible, and for you guys to start playing with them. And I have noticed lots of Fae in the videos. Lots of Elkin, lots of Fae, big surprise. And not a lot of Centaurs. Despite the Centaurs having the most stats, the most passive. They got everything.
Well, there's always the ogre problem, right? From EverQuest. We found that people didn't. Just don't play. People like to play humans. It's weird.
Centaurs have lots of con, and con sucks donkey balls, according to this. Well, we can look at how much health you get per con.
I thought you were saying we look at the donkey balls.
No. They already have those. Humans have the extra power slot and the passive. That is amazing. That is, in fact, amazing right off the box. They get that, but they don't get to be elves, and they don't get Trailblazer or any of those. They have to rely on the Bloodworms. But as I saw with Zybek's Bank in his video, his whole bottom row was full of Bloodworms. So everyone loves to have those speed buffs. Food cost is broken after a fight. The stamina usage because of Retaliate drains the chicken ticker so fast. With Centaurs, you have to eat during fights. And that was kind of what we said long ago, was these big guys should consume food more. And it's just more of a problem for them than it is for other people. That's what having advantages and disadvantages kinds of means, right? They're just more aware of that problem. That doesn't mean we're not going to tune things in the future. It just means that you should always feel like you're eating more food on a Centaur. Because they're big. Unless, I believe you put in a food efficiency stomach.
There is one of those, yes. If you can find it.
So, yes. Oh, you know what? I don't know if the stomachs are in... because all of those parts used to be on the Risen.
They were, so maybe they're not.
So
we'll have to put them somewhere.
We'll have to put them somewhere, and we need to revisit them anyways, because some of those stats are old. But the stomach one always amused me because...
It's a special stomach.
It's a special stomach. Today, we've got Melissa on, and she is our art director, for those of you who don't know. And she's going to show us some of the new lighting stuff that we've done for the 5.7 update. You'll notice over time, we've been kind of improving the look just a little bit every publish. But 5.7, we had a lot of big breakthroughs. We had the day-night cycle come online.
Yep.
And then there was this mysterious shader project that I heard about for the longest time that I think got some legs. And I have no clue what EnviroSky even is either. So you can...
We've had EnviroSky for a little while, but there are some things that got added for us to... So... What?
To hide, so your head's perfectly in front of the day-night thing. Yeah. So just make them smaller. I'm just gonna move them to the other side.
Okay. So basically, one of the challenges that we've always had with our world is that it's fully dynamic. The parcels can be rotated and moved around. You know, all of the items in the world are dynamically spawned. Players can place buildings and objects, and everything is dynamic. Nothing is static in this world. So.
And what did that cost us?
Well, it cost us everything.
Everything.
What it cost us was really pretty baked lighting, which is what you're used to seeing in a lot of the AAA games, where they're able to control all of the light sources and bake it all down, and bake in really nice bounce lighting. And so we don't have any of that. We have to have fully dynamic lighting, and at the same time we are limited to the number of directional lights that we can even have in a scene, just due to the number of passes that it will cause, and that will really, you know, kill performance. So we're always trying to balance something that looks good with making sure that it doesn't just kill our performance. So you can see it cycling through day and night. My character is, I feel like he's a little bit dark still overall, so I was talking to Jason this morning actually about possibly taking the ambient lighting and just bouncing it up so that the character maybe will pop a bit more without having it affect the environment. So that's something we might look into next, because he just doesn't pop away from the environment as much. It's maybe more realistic to have him blend with the environment like this with the lighting, but in a game you want your character to pop a bit more. So
it's definitely a lot of appreciation for how many knobs you have to Twitter to make it look good.
Yeah. There's also a whole layer of post-processing that we haven't actually even started tweaking. So we have a baseline setting of just anti-aliasing, a tiny, tiny bit of bloom, and AO.
Right there. It looks like... Is that on those trees?
It looks like they're missing...
Is that on the trees, or is that on the...
Those are on the trees. Yeah, so those are the resource nodes. So one of the things I wanted to play with too is how dark do we want our darkest to get? I know everybody's going to play with their gamma and jack that up so they can see whatever they want to see anyways, but the baseline kind of look and feel that we want to try and get, now that we have like all of these little sparklies and hunger that's going to spawn in the environment and these resource nodes that have lights on them, the hunger creatures at nighttime. I don't know if you guys have been keeping up to date with our updates.
Everyone is saying dark.
Everyone
dark. Dark.
No, you
dark.
want it dark?
They want it dark.
Yeah, it looks cool dark. With the light that we have, you know, in other... So previously, before we had all this stuff, we pushed it a little bit dark, but then there were no other light sources in the environment. Now that we're getting more light sources in the environment, I think that could actually be really cool.
It's always irritating that when you play MMOs, they typically love to do this, which is they have, hey, we've got day-night, let's make night pitch black. And you log into a game and they wash you up on a beach somewhere in the middle of the night, and you can't... Your first impression of the game is, wow, everything is dark, everything is just terrible looking, and it's just... It does disservice to all of the work that was done on the environment.
Yeah. And so this is what we're calling kind of our Highlands biome. So it's kind of like Northern Ireland.
Does that look correct?
Yeah, that looks pretty correct.
Okay, there you go, Gibson.
So this is our sort of baseline, this is our first biome. So we started doing concept work for additional biomes, but they will absolutely have their own lighting and color palette associated with each. One of the other things that sort of complicates all of this is because we have seasons layered on top of all of this, how does the transition to winter affect the lighting for each biome? So we've got biome lighting and then seasonal lighting and then day and night lighting. So there's a lot of factors. So we want to keep it simple to begin with and just start with the very first biome, just isolate it to day and night. So one of the things that also controls us in Enviro, there are these weather presets in here, and they're, I can have the sky go cloudy or foggy or much more foggy. It can start raining or snowing. I haven't messed with a whole lot of, or setting those up. There's some default ones that Enviro comes with. But those also have some global changes that will affect the overall lighting. So there's just lots of layers of things that will affect. So I didn't want it cycling through weather and season and day and night. It's just too many variables. So we're focusing on the first one and just setting up a clear sky initially to figure out again, because like what I said earlier was Enviro is sort of set up so that to sort of simulate a very natural lighting, and I'm trying to push a little bit more color and stylization into it.
Some questions about, does day and night affect perception and UI nameplate distance? Right now, the day and night stuff doesn't have any actual gameplay hooks. We do have a hook so that we can start fiddling with knobs on the design side if we want to. Borland was nice enough to give us that. So we just haven't done anything with it yet. Everyone is talking about lighting, but I only see the new chat UI. Great work on lighting, by the way. Yep, there was a bunch of work done in this. Can you stop for a second?
Yep.
In this sprint to do, I'll just push the button over there, and now you can do /say space, and it puts you into say. So it should start to feel more like what you guys are expecting for a MMO chat window. That piece Akshay has been working on, that goes in conjunction with our F to Interact that's going on players. We call that our social services stuff, and that is coming online this milestone as well. Let's see what else we got in here. Night vision for certain races, yeah. So Todd and I were talking about that, and it's definitely on the table because everybody can remember the older games where it was pitch black and you just, I don't know, how did they do that in the old days, Melissa? Tell us a story.
What is that?
How did you give elves night vision and things like that?
I don't know. You tell us the story.
I don't know how it worked. I just know that they had a different
you tell us the story.
It was like a purplish background instead of a black background.
Yeah, probably a post process.
So they did some fancy stuff back in those days. Okay, so here is our Stoneborn.
In all his stony.
In all his stony glory.
Rudy glory.
He, the big question was, did he have armor?
He does have armor.
He does have armor. So I think
everyone has armor.
We got all the armor in this patch too?
I believe so. Yeah, all the armor should be in.
Because the Wood Elves, we put some of the races out early. We decided to put the races out rather than hold on to them with no armor. We now have, this guy has armor, and I kind of like his armor.
Yeah, his armor's really cool.
He's pretty cool.
Who else did they want to see?
The female half-giant. Boom.
She is my favorite.
She is a lot of people's new favorite. She's, and you can't see her because all of the lighting is gone.
Yeah, she's real dark.
I love her.
It'll cycle through nighttime, or, yeah, through night pretty quick here. Let's see her.
Yeah, you might as well, do you have the thing still up?
No. It is now, though.
Okay. You can go ahead and you can demo what? Bam. All right. Let's hope the light comes around. Or you can go stand in that light.
Let me zoom out a little bit so we're not just staring at her backside. But she is beefy.
Let's see. That's a huge bitch. Snoo snoo. Yes, this is the...
I love her.
I know. She's so awesome.
So this is our female half giant, and segueing into.
Bump up the intensity a little bit. So she just looks angry.
Yeah, she does.
Yeah, she's coming a little dark.
You timed somebody out, huh? Has a Conan Barbarian. Yeah, she is.
She has some smoothing issues on her belt. It's all kind of faceted. We'll fix that.
Look at that. Finding bugs in the stream. So, speaking of half giant, if you would go to her inventory, go to her racial discipline, go to page 2. One of the things everyone's going to notice is I mentioned.
I'm gonna let you drive on this since you're okay.
Just click this button right there.
Well, I don't know where you're going.
Right there.
Yeah.
Right?
No,
That's
no,
where I'm going.
No, I got you.
You got that?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, you may be off camera now because you slid so far away.
Here you go.
You kind of want to look at the eyes. The eyes. The eyes. There you go.
Johnny 5.
So you guys will notice there are some new stats on the racial disciplines, and they are. Hers is right there. Boop. Caps. So the half giant. So what's funny is if you remember years ago when we put up all of the archetypes, we had little pips that told you how much strength and how much dex and how much this particular archetype had. And when we split into race class, we put everybody on the same 15-point scale, and we skewed everybody's attributes. So you'll notice now that, for example, the half giants get a strength cap increase, and they lose 100 points on their cap of dexterity. So as part of all of the races going in, those little dots that we came up with 3 years ago actually mean something now. It took us 3 years to get to the point, and it's funny because Todd and I were talking about it years ago. Like, yeah, this will come back to bite us in the ass someday, and sure enough, I am looking forward to all the comments that come out of this, because now we've just added a whole new vector for why to play a certain race over another. Maybe this one can get an extra 150 strength. I think that is the minnow. So I have all the racial disciplines down here. Did they get the huge strength cap? Well, they only got 50, but they got a huge constitution cap increase. But they lose out on spirit, which is regens. The Elkin gets a little bit across the board of everything. Where's the... We already looked at the half giant. He gets the big giant strength cap. So also as part of this, all of the attribute baselines were set to 250. So 250 is now the new baseline, and you either skew upwards from 250 or you will skew downwards from 250. So just get used to all of your strength, dex, con, spirit, and int capping out at 250, and then you look at your racial adjustments to see where you can go from there. So if you are a guy who likes a very crit heavy build, you may not want to take a character that has a minus 100 to their dexterity cap, because their cap is going to be 150, and you'll notice that by our character sheet here, your critical hit chance is directly linked to your dexterity. The Stoneborn is good at... What does he get? I can't see around that. He loses 100 dex, but he gets 50 strength and 50 con. The elves, of course, are in dexterity land because that's what we do with elves. Elves have to be dexterous. Thank you, Legolas. We live in the shadow forever of all of the elves. The Fae gets 100 dex, which will probably fit very well with the assassins. The Nithari just gets a strength and an int. Half elves get a minor one, and humans, well, they're humans. Humans are flatline across the board, but a lot of people like that variety for building a character. They also get, as always, they get all their old stuff. So I checked that in yesterday, in fact. So there's things that are still coming online. So let's go ahead and look at the Ganetian and the Centaur Racial so they can start debating on the forums who got what. What did the Ganetian get? He got 100 dex, and he lost strength, and he lost constitution, so less health. And the Centaur, which has the most ridiculous amount of stuff, because they get everything. Look at that. They get so many powers. I still need to make that horseshoe slot. That's still on my to-do list. And they got Constitution, and they lost Dex, Int, and Spirit, and their food regen. Because they're horses. They eat more.
Can they eat grass?
We don't have grass that you can pick. You want to give us grass nodes?
Sure.
Okay. If we have grass nodes, then maybe we can.
Keep adding grass nodes.
That's easy.
We're putting plants in at some,
Grass
right?
harvest.
We've got the plant stuff coming online.
Yeah.
Not this publish, and someone will need to work on it. Can we zoom in? We can even do this. That was the whole point of that button, was to do. Yes. Can we have racial weapons in 5.7? Racial, like the polearm, I've kind of shelved that for now. But we will have the capability for it. We always wanted to do the crazy thing for the high elves.
Mm-hmm. I think they meant the new racial designs. But the concept art only just went out for these, right? So
yeah. We're starting to work on them.
Mm-hmm. Well, I mean, the Elkin should get a quarterstaff at some point, and the Centaur should get the polearm.
What is your one pipe dream art-wise for the game, Melissa? The one big crazy thing you'd like to see happen, but probably won't happen.
Oh, what? Probably the crazy thing that I would like to... bounce lighting.
Can you explain why?
I did earlier.
Oh, okay.
Makes everything look better. But we're going to do what we can without it. So we're just starting our lighting tweaks right now. So hopefully we can get a look that we like that doesn't kill performance and works with our very fully dynamic world.
You're getting a lot of hitching there.
I know. That's just because I'm running Unity.
Chill.
Can we see some of the attack animations? So I don't know if the champion got their base attack speed adjustments yet. Doggett and Cook were working on that. Oh, the slash looks. Yeah, you keep jerking
slower?
left and right as you're swinging. Just a tad.
Just hold still.
Yes, there you go. I don't think so. But the assassin, I played the assassin yesterday, and the assassin is way faster now. Which is now the assassin is the fastest basic attacks in the game. If you cycle the seasons, would there be visual changes?
Not yet. There will be. We're not playing with the seasons just yet.
Yeah, you're gonna start
next on the list.
But they're gonna start seeing a lot of snow around the hunger shard nodes.
Yes, the hunger is effectively killing, these worlds. So when they appear, they sort of freeze the environment around them, and we've got a really cool decal that applies like around the entire hunger crystal, and it looks like the environment is frozen around it.
Mm-hmm.
Ooh, what's that over there? Is that a graveyard, or is that... I don't think there's any hunger in this map.
Okay.
I think that's a graveyard.
Faye will be like a mini Yoda on steroids.
Can you talk a little bit about the the design choice to make knights, at least for right now, a little more blue instead of black?
Well, just to again push a little bit more color for the sake of stylization. I mean, we are a stylized game, as you can see from all of our characters. Enviro typically pushes more towards a natural sort of light setup, and having a bit more color just is a way to get some of that stylization back. And these things are being tweaked at the moment. Again, I just got like a fix this morning for some for the grass and that reflection probe that was acting a little bit wonky, so I need to go back in and actually tune a lot of this stuff. So that may be pretty intense for what we might want to do. We might want to have a little bit more color coming from the sky, and then kind of have that fall off on the lighting a little bit. I like it in the fog and in the sky, and then maybe take the lighting color down some. Maybe we can take some of that out. Any idea what causes the momentary stutter happens even at high FPS? Yeah, we call it hitching. And I think right now there is one on because of the new terrain that Jason was working out. The stitching was causing a little bit, and it's
because Melissa keeps moving and going across parcel boundaries, she's causing it to happen.
Yes, it's my fault.
It's totally Melissa's fault. So be sure to blame her when you see it in game. But as we optimize all this stuff out, those things will go away. It's kind of amazing all the work that Jason has done on the terrain in the past 2 months. We really appreciate it. A lot of times I know you guys don't, because you're just running on the ground in a lot of cases. You'll just turn off the grass and find the slider to turn off everything. Turn it all off.
Turn it off.
Turn it all off. Okay, so this is the Stoneborn. This is one of our final races. And Melissa's going to show you their mail and plate. I like how you guys went with one shoulder pad for this guy.
I can't tell if you're being sarcastic or not.
We'll just keep it at that. She can always wonder. This is his mail set? Wait.
This is his plate set.
Oh, this is the plate set. Yeah, I was going to say. Now, what on him will be customizable? Skin color, the runes on him, the beard?
Yeah, so we were actually, Dave has been concepting his heads and beards and hairstyles and customization stuff right now.
Okay.
But we're talking about, so the rest of the characters, you can change their skin tint. So we could do that and just give them different tintable stone types, but it would be cool if we could actually change the baseline texture so he looks like he's made out of marble or granite or limestone or just different kinds of stone rather than just a tint. But we'll be able to tint the beards as well. I mean, we'll probably give him some kind of color options that feel more natural, maybe some greens or kind of like mossy looking stone and beard options.
They gave the shoulder pad the movement of the cloak. Cloaks! Ooh, you know, we haven't talked about those in a while.
There's still some stuff to work out with cloaks.
Yeah, that's part of the human racial kit. You'll notice they don't get any stat adjustments, but they do get cloaks as their additional slot. Did we give it to the half-elves as well?
Half-elves have cloaks, yes.
Cloaks in 5.7. No, cloaks are not in 5.7. I was just giving Melissa shit because we need to go back in there, and there were some art challenges to making them look good. And
if we want to have them be interchangeable, because that's not the way they were designed. Originally they were designed as part of the torso. If we make them a piece of equipment and they have to interchange with all the other pieces of equipment, there's some challenges, there's some clipping. They just weren't designed that way. So
yeah, if you remember, the only one who had the snap-on cloak was the knight.
Yeah. Right.
The ranger had, talking about the old archetype days here, the ranger had this big shoulder pad that was built into that kind of half cloak. And yeah, they need to figure out what they want to do there. New hairstyles. You guys are working on those, right?
We are.
All the concept for the hairstyles.
The games were made more specifically to support the theme of come here and get a bunch of high-level stone, come here and get a bunch of the construction stone, or come here and get a bunch of the construction ore or high-level ore. And so if we wanted to do something for like graveyards or trees, you'll see that there's a tree adventure zone at this point, a forest adventure zone. We may want to come up with like something that's more directly themed towards that kind of graveyard. But you're right, with the zombies, maybe they would kind of make sense. We'll definitely take into consideration and kind of give you some feedback there.
I think we got rid of the fog, actually. No, I'm just messing with you. Do we have parcels that apply debuffs or buffs? Yes, we do. Actually, they're not parcel side, it's more diorama side. So it's much more dynamic.
No.
You could have a parcel with or without it, basically.
Tennis, you will not be able to get to the other zones beachhead, or the other factions beachheads. It's all protected. And if you did, you would immediately die because we still have the death zone. We don't have lizard men yet, no. We are actively working on more and more NPCs. You're going to be seeing about double the variety of NPCs in this next one. Maybe double isn't right. Yeah, there's a good amount. It's just because we didn't have too many NPCs to hit regardless before, and now we've got about double. Will NPCs be able to roam over the boundaries, or will they be tied to a diorama? So they're always tied to a diorama no matter what. Like, they've got a home point. That home point could change if we wanted to. We haven't used that in the NPC strategies. At one point, the NPCs could go anywhere. They could literally follow you across the whole world if you wanted to, and we decided that's not really where we wanted to go with it. So the technical ability for the NPC to wander anywhere across any parcel boundary, any stitch, basically exists, right? And the only reason that they're not is because we've determined that the current strategy for those NPCs is that they don't do that. But if we change our minds in the future, if you guys made a compelling case to Todd and Blair, or if one of us wanted to try that, maybe we'll do an experimental. I'm sure we'll have notorious monsters or something along those lines. And by sure, I mean that we probably could, and it's really up to Todd and Blair to kind of like figure that out. But there's nothing limiting us from being able to do that. It totally works.
The zone builder real quick.